right, you were saying. Oh.
Do I have Gaper Gap?
No. Okay. I probably did.
I mean, this is terrible, as you can see.
Yeah. If I'm not having fun doing
You're doing it wrong. Hello, everybody. This is Dulce Martinez, head of investor coverage for Zions Capital Markets.
Give us some background on Zions. What do y'all do? How are y'all involved in the M&A world? And what's kind of the role?
So Zions Capital Markets is the investment banking arm that kind of covers over all of the affiliates in the Zions Bancorp. So Zions Bank, that you guys might be familiar with in Utah and Idaho, has other banks in its affiliate program. Names you might recognize, you especially. We've got Amegy in Texas, Vector in Colorado, California Bank and Trust, where I sit in California, State Bank of Nevada, a few commerce banks. So in the aggregate, there's 8 affiliate banks that make up a $90 billion platform. And we support those guys. So work really closely with the commercial banking teams that have really sticky, generationally banked businesses that typically are founder-led, family-led, and really enjoy the relationship that we have with the folks in the underlying portfolio and try to just do what we can to meet their needs.
What does that mean usually? Is that like helping represent them?
Yeah, it can be a number of different ways, right? So I support our debt capital markets and investment banking groups probably the most closely. So if you need to syndicate out a large swatch of senior debt, we can help arrange that. And then I also work very closely with our sell side M&A practice group. But we've got project finance, we've got real estate, sales and trading.
You were saying
we have a lot of ways that we can help our clients, and we're delighted to do so. Yeah. I happen to cover private equity and private credit, so I cover the whole country. From a sell side perspective, we're doing deals certainly north of 5 million EBITDA. Probably, if I think about our pipeline right now, we're shaking down. I think we're on 14 engagements right now that are. That's $7 to $8 million range, but we're pitching certainly on 40 and 50 million EBITDA businesses as well. And we get to see kind of the best of the best that percolates up from the commercial banking portfolio and our relationships.
That's what I was going to ask. It's like, from a flow perspective, is a lot of that internal?
Yeah, it is. And, we're very fortunate that we're very aligned with our partners and colleagues internally. I think it's a tough nut to crack. Not a lot of folks that have a commercial banking arm in conjunction with an investment banking arm can really marry that construct well.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. They don't seem to talk very well together sometimes.
It can be very siloed, right? We have a lot of really ambitious, hyper-intelligent, strategic leaders that are really pushing the business forward. I mean, our investment banking group has been around less than 2 years and have had, tremendous success already, thank God. And, our story is really resonating not only with the investor community, but also with the folks that we have relationships with on the company level as well.
What industries are y'all? What do you focus on?
So it's really broad. We have. Our geography tends to be, think of us like Texas West, where we have our footprint. And so each geography kind of tends to gravitate towards certain industry groups. I will say we have really deep quals in manufacturing and industrials. We're seeing a lot of business services right now. But we also have, a couple things in the healthcare space that we're looking at. Certainly, consumer is always something that pops up. I mean, we're evaluating new opportunities often just because we're having discussions with our relationship managers pretty frequently, and we're very disciplined about how we're collaborating. I think the reality is, to have a good coverage operation, you have to know who your buyers are and who the right partners are. And so when we think about buyer list creation and like how we bring people closer to deals sooner, it's really about knowing the culture at the fund level.
At a private equity firm.
Yeah, or even, who would we want to pull in to create maybe a unitranche position on the credit side? It's all about just that institutional knowledge of the groups that you're going to reach out to, because you're right, the industry and segment definitions it varies so much. But that's why it's so helpful to have such a great network that, you and I are both fortunate to be a part of. It's like you can just give a quick call or set up a quick call and get a fast feedback. It just makes the engagement so much better and creates a better partnership between my organization, certainly, and the private equity firms and the private credit funds. And then also it just ultimately creates a better outcome for the client.
What's your process feel like whenever you're engaging with a company and going to represent them to the market?
think it just depends where they're at, right? I mean, we talk to companies very early.
What does that mean?
Well, we can see the evolution of where the business is tracking, right?
Yeah.
So if we want to go and be proactive and take more of like a strategic advisory kind of position with our clients, we'll certainly do that. And the deal team on the investment banking side is incredibly proficient. I mean, I've been nothing but impressed with my colleagues on the M&A team. You know, the secret sauce, I think, really is not only do you have to have the quals and the safe hands, and of course you need to be able to execute at the highest level, which we certainly do, but, you know, the bedside manner and being able to understand, you know, not everybody always wants a broad auction, right?
Sure.
Like, you have to have a very personalized approach. So with respect to process, I think a lot of it has to do, we benefit greatly by having a lot of institutional knowledge about a business owner or management team already.
Right.
We kind of know where they're tracking, and, you know, we can provide them kind of a buffet of options, right, to meet their needs. And then,
so very bespoke, like to your point about like, would you like a broad auction process?
Or this is what that looks like, and, you know, this is what you can expect.
I see.
You know, or do you already kind of have an acquisition target in mind that we can be, you know, really a comprehensive partner and drill down deep on that? So I think it just depends. But I think broadly, process is just, you have to have process, period, end of story. You know, coverage, I'm the first coverage officer for ZCM, and so a lot of what I'm doing right now is just market mapping, understanding the lay of the land, and then trying to ingest that institutional knowledge, not only from ZCM but from our affiliates, into our technology partner, which is Deal Cloud, and really making sure, you know, working with our business enablement groups internally that are fantastic to make sure the dashboards all make sense, make sure that we can push visibility up, down, and sideways if we have to. So internally, so that everybody kind of knows, you know, the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. Right. I think especially in a deal situation, you know, we try to be as thoughtful about that. So all that is process oriented. And we have a lot of opportunities that we're evaluating, right? And so if we are not efficient in that way, you know, there's only one of me, right? You know, we need to be able to translate what's happening in real time very quickly.
How'd you find your way into finance?
You know, I think for me, it was not an intuitive thing. Like, I didn't go into college knowing I wanted to go to business school and get into the banking track for 2 years and then back to the buy side. I think, you know, I was very fortunate that I had mentors early on in my career that opened a lot of doors for me that probably wouldn't have been available to me otherwise.
So what was your early career?
My early, like, real foray into the professional world was through Smith Barney, broker-dealer wealth management firm that was later acquired by Morgan Stanley. And a gentleman that I worked with who was amazing, his name is Russ Gard. He had a book of business, and I was his sales assistant. So I helped him register his trades and did a lot of the client service work. And this was probably when I was 20 years old. And then realized that, you know, private wealth probably wasn't where I wanted to, you know, develop my career. So then I sat on a syndicate trading desk, basically trading the securities that Morgan Stanley was underwriting for clients that had what we called an index. So that was also not something I wanted to continue on. I realized when you have to have somebody cover your desk at 5 a.m. in LA to go to the washroom, that was not the life for me. And so I did a lot of reflection, and I've always loved people. The people aspect of the business and the relationship management aspect of the business has always been something that's appealed to me, because we work with some of the smartest people in the world who are also some of the greatest people. I think we've got an incredible community that I really enjoy interacting with and learning from. So from there, you know, I thought maybe sales would be an interesting route to take. And so I worked for a company that was trying to verticalize their platform for the portfolio companies of private equity firms. And then got exposed to PEG Universe and continued on in a variety of other capacities, serving private equity funds, family offices, and hedge funds.
This is a third party?
Yeah, these were technology
helping
companies.
optimize portfolio companies, basically.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Just from networking, you know, being in LA, I knew a lawyer at Stradling, and he said, hey, you know a lot of people. I think you should consider business development. for the law firm, help us build out our M&A and debt finance practice groups. So I did that for Stradlink for almost 5 years. Left there as a managing director and absolutely loved it and got closer to the deal universe. Well, I realized very quickly that if I was going to play a banker on TV, I might as well just be a banker. So made the leap into investment banking, and I'm sick. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. We get to, I mean, you see every kind of deal imaginable, every kind of business dynamic imaginable.
It's not like a day where you show up and you have the same tasks. It's very dynamic.
I mean, I think it's very rewarding to be a very small part in a family's legacy when you create a generational event. I think it's incredibly rewarding, and to help be, as I said, a small part of that is something I've always really enjoyed, and I've always found myself mostly on the sell side. But we have to know who the best buyers are for our clients, and that's really kind of the genesis of my role at the firm now.
Yeah, that's great.
It's networking, right?
Yeah.
It's really like taking care of the people that you can add value to, and doing what you say you're going to do, and being a good person in the process, and having a little fun. I mean, if we're going to spend this much time away from our family and friends, like, you have to enjoy what you do, and you should enjoy the people that you do it with.
100%.
I mean, this is terrible, as you can see.
Yeah.